This video introduces the poet William Butler Yeats. Yeats occupies the vanguard of what scholars call high modernism, which is considered to be the period between the end of World War I and the beginning of World War II, when modernist writing peaked. While much of his poetry is quintessentially modernist, Yeats hasn't always been fully embraced as one, in part due to the fact that he was Irish. Yeats was born in 1865 in a suburb of Dublin, Ireland. Ireland was one of the oldest colonies of the English Empire. Its settlement began in the 12th century. The Yeats family were Protestants and thus members of the dominant class. Yeats had a complicated relation to England and Ireland. While he was a member of the group who originally invaded Ireland, he also was an advocate for Irish independence and was a leading figure in what scholars refer to as the Irish Literary Revival, a movement that supported the effort to make Ireland independent. During Yeats's lifetime in 1921, part of Ireland gained independence from England. In his writings about the revival, Yeats advocated a hybrid approach to Irish identity that mixed Irish and English elements. For example, while he was invested in unearthing old Irish folklore and legends, Yeats claimed that not Gaelic, but the language of the colonizer, English, could be appropriated and used for new Irish ends. Yeats had tremendous ambitions for himself and for poetry. A religious skeptic, he viewed himself as a contributor to an infallible church of poetic tradition. In lieu of science and organized religion, Yeats generated his own grand account of the nature of human society and history. According to Yeats's system, no society can endlessly become better or even remain the same in a state of stasis. Rather, every civilization is doomed to eventually dissolve and fall apart from within, or be destroyed and engulfed from without by an alternate social order. Yeats used the image of two interpenetrating cones or gyres to connote the destruction of a society from both within and without. And the primary civilization on which he focused was what he viewed as Judeo-Christianity, which he claimed that after 2,000 years of existence was nearing its utter dissolution. That is, a version of the second coming prophesied by Christianity in its account of Jesus returning to earth at the end of the world to judge the living and the dead. Yeats's stress on how all civilizations are doomed to dissolve radically departs from models of historical progress, like stadial theory. His system speaks to his modernist awareness of the failures and crises of his current moment. Those crises include World War I, as well as, closer to home for Yeats, the Easter Rising, when Irish Republicans engaged in an armed rebellion against British rule during the week leading up to Easter in 1916. It involved the killing of about 500 people, over half of whom were civilians. The British quelled the insurgents and executed the leaders. But partly due to reports of atrocities committed by the British during and after the insurrection, the rising contributed to the independence movement.